Going on, guys? Welcome back to the Broad Street Boys, and today we're going to do a full Eagles podcast. I haven't been on podcasting for a while. School got real crazy, but we are home, so we're just going to go straight Eagles. A little recap, all the drama that happened with AJ and Jalen. If you can't see me, I'm putting up air quotes. Drama, okay, and then my reaction to all of that, along with kind of looking ahead to possible playoffs coming up, and if we can get that one seed, and if we could not get the one seed, what would happen, and all the scenarios. Um, so yeah, it's not a secret to say that the Eagles are one of the hottest teams in the entire league, if not the hottest team in the entire league, winning 10 in a row, the longest streak in franchise history, which is a huge deal. I mean, like the fact that no one's ever done this in the history of this franchise is a huge deal. This is a huge deal. This team's amazing. Saquon Barkley is going to be top 3 in MVP probably. I don't think he's going to get it because I don't think he's going to get that rushing record. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was initially annoyed about it because I really wanted him to get it, but I feel fine. Like if he doesn't get it, he doesn't get it. I really think that's how he feels too. Like it would be awesome if he did get it, but at the same time, this team's just trying to look for wins, as no matter how they do it. And I'm going to use a Nick Sirianni quote, but they can run it and they can throw it. It doesn't matter what they do. This is one of the greatest Eagles teams I've ever been a part. I've ever been a part of to watch. I mean, this is amazing. It's offensively they are like perfect almost. I mean, Jalen Hurts is the only not amazing part, but at the same time, Jalen Hurts is pretty damn good. And I think he showed us all that on last Sunday against the Steelers. Um, so let's just go through him and AJ's. I mean, I guess you could call it drama. It's something that I know people are blaming it a lot on the media, and I completely get it. But at the same time, the media is also using AJ Brown's words to like go against him, which would then trigger a Brandon Graham to say something on WIP, which is the stupidest idea. I don't know why he would think to do that on WIP. Like, for people that maybe are watching that aren't necessarily from this area, um, like the radio show in Philadelphia, New York, Boston, any type of Northeast city is still such an important part of the media, and people like listen to it. I mean, and as much as we don't, as much as people can hate on 94.1 WIP, we're all still going to listen to it, and we're all going to still listen to what they have to say and they react to it. It's not like that in a lot of other cities. The radio shows are dying. Podcasts are like this are becoming more prevalent and more. You're just seeing more of it. But in the Northeast, I mean, 94 WIP, 97.5 The Fanatic. There's still really big radio shows that you can listen to. I have the Odyssey app. Again, for people that don't really know, first time, hi. I go to James Madison in Virginia, so obviously I don't get the radio down there. So I downloaded the Odyssey app to listen to these stations, so then I could still stay up in the media and keep up to date. It also helps to study if anyone's ever thinking about it. It really does help to study. But it's these types of radio shows that dictate a lot of like the narratives, the media, and all that. They have such a big impact. And for Brandon Graham to go on, I think it's like a good idea to go on 94 WIP and just to say anything. I mean, that's a dumb idea. I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, what he said, there definitely is some truth to it. Um, like I know Jalen Hurts is trying. He said one is trying, and Jalen Hurts I know for a fact is trying, and AJ Brown does need to handle his emotions a little better. And he said a bunch of other stuff, but that's what I basically got out of it, and I think there's some truth into that. I mean, AJ Brown. I mean, yes, he might be a character. I'm just gonna say that to be nice. But at the same time, he's a hell of a football player that deserves the football. And what he was getting before was not enough. So I completely get his point. And for some reason, I mean, I didn't. I saw the clip before I even saw any of the reactions. So this is like my genuinely raw reaction initially. But when AJ Brown was asked the question like, "What could you improve upon?" or whatever, and he said passing, everyone took that as Jalen Hurts, and I'm sitting here like, it's really not. I mean, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, that Panthers game is probably the worst game that they've played in this 10 game like interval. I mean, that in the Browns game, pretty bad. But at the same time, like Is he wrong? No. Like all they did was run the ball, and it has been working. But you also have these stud wide receivers that you need to use, and it's all about finding that balance. Kellen Moore is currently running the ball more than he's ever ran the ball in his entire career at any stop he's been at. He's just been a huge motion like offensive coordinators, ton of stuff happening, like always throwing the ball, like Chargers and Cowboys always throwing the ball, not running enough because they don't have the running backs to run enough. But I mean, if you just think about it, like he's running the most that he's running now, and it's almost like he's fallen in love too much with the run. And yes, that's why Saquon Barkley is absolutely killing it. Like that's why, because he's getting almost 30 carries a game. But I think you need to not really preserve Saquon because like I still want to win all these games, and I'm gonna get into the seeding later and how winning would be nice, but it's like not a huge deal. Um, but preserving Saquon a little bit would be nice so that he's really fresh for the playoffs because we're gonna need him in the playoffs. Completely healthy. We're gonna need everybody completely healthy. But yeah, there's nothing crazy that I had to say about this team. Like this team is just impressive. They're just impressive, and there's no other way of saying it. Again, one of the greatest Eagles teams I've ever seen. Probably one of the greatest offensive lines I've ever seen as well. Um, I mean, yes, Jason Kelsey's not there, but they are still blocking for Jalen Hurts better than I've ever seen. Lane Johnson is still doing it at his age. Jordan Mailata's rising up, and Landon Dickerson, who's a little banged up, but at the same time, killing it whenever he's on there. So, and I'm not gonna lie, I can't say good enough things about the fit, about how Fred Johnson will come in and help out, and big number 77, Mekhi Becton going to guard, which at a position that he's never played before, and he looks so out of place, but at the same time, it works perfectly. It makes perfect sense. That guy is huge, and for him just to play guard, he's making it look so easy and guard so hard. So listen, offensively, we're looking amazing. Defensively, we're also looking fantastic. Our front seven is ridiculous. Our linebackers are playing out of their mind. I've never seen linebackers, period, in Philadelphia play this well since like Michael Kendricks, if you want to count that, or Jordan Hicks in like the Super Bowl year, and then they left. Like that's how good Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean are playing. Like they were playing lights out back there. I mean, you could see it every game. Like Zach Bond should probably win Defensive Player of the Year. I'm gonna be completely honest. Yeah, I said it. Zach Bond should win DPOY. I mean, his tackles. I feel like whenever you see him around the ball, he never misses a tackle ever. And his coverage and him reading a defense and calling it out, and he's just awesome. He's awesome. He's something that we've never had before. And again, I can't say enough about our corners too. I mean, Darius Slay's good, but I feel like he's always in and out. He's always dealing with an injury. And Quinion Mitchell should probably win Rookie of the Year even without an interception, which is something me personally, I've never seen that before. And Cooper DeJean is a tackling stud, and who plays the nickel as well as I've seen it. Avante Maddox play the nickel, at least where he used to be. And then safeties as well, Reed Blankenship and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Oh my God, when are you ever seeing someone take top off of the Eagles? Never is the answer. Never. I haven't seen it in a long time. And it's fun. I feel like our Super Bowl year, our big thing was like, oh, we've never beat a good team the whole year. I mean, which is mildly true. Like we didn't have a good schedule. We can't control that. This year we've beaten multiple like playoff teams, like Ravens, Rams. Commanders are probably going to make it. I'll get into the Commanders later because I have something to say about them. And then last week, I mean, the Steelers. Steelers are probably going to win their division. Those four we have beat throughout this entire amazing like run that we've had. And even listen, the Panthers are not good, but they were also hot coming into Philadelphia. Like they looked really good in a few games straight, and we still won. I mean, yes, all we did was run the ball, and we didn't really throw the ball. But at the same time, a win is a win. That's what I keep on telling myself, and that's why I was really happy to see that just anything positive I could take out of the game, and I feel like I could take out a ton of positive stuff from each of these games. That is not what I could have said last year when we were 10-1. I feel like every single game last year, I was like, oh, we won, but I feel like these past few games, like I feel like I've not said like there's no but in anything except for the Panthers game. That's it. The other games, there's little ticky tack stuff like Jalen Carter probably shouldn't have hit the offensive lineman's head on that punt. You could say that, and but at the same time, I think that interaction between Sirianni and the defensive line coach is going to be natural. The defensive line coach, I'm going to be honest with you, a little sneak peek, is going to know Jalen Carter the most compared to Nick Sirianni because he's working with him every single day. And you could literally see in the video that the defensive line coach is walking away from Jalen Carter, and Jalen Carter is probably hot already. And Nick Sirianni's coming in, probably yell at him. And we all know Jalen Carter. I love Jalen Carter, but he is kind of crazy. And if you get him going, he might hit you in the face. And I love that the defensive line coach was like, no, no, I already talked to him. We're good. Moving past it. Because that game was already chippy. I don't actually, I mean, not a great decision by Carter, but that game was already chippy. Like that fight pretty much broke out when I think it was James Washington almost put Darius Slate into the first row. Um, and then like a fight broke out, which both flags were on the Steelers, so I'll take it. But like it was chippy, so I didn't really hate it. But it's like little stuff like that, I guess. Like, but at the same time, we've had wins against like the Giants. There was not one bad thing I could have said about that Giants game, or like even the Cowboys game. Oh my God, we blew out the Cowboys. I mean, it's looking a lot like 2022, but it's like a better version of 2022 with a very similar, how do I play this? Very similar mindset as 2017 when we won the Super Bowl. Because that mindset was like us against the world, like no one believes in us, no one believes in us, and I feel like that's kind of what they came into this season thinking after one of the most devastating is a big word, but devastating collapses I've seen as a Philadelphia sports fan last year. So I think they came in with a very similar mindset. And I'm just gonna take a second to talk about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, say what you want, say he's a game manager, say that he doesn't throw enough, say that he's got a bad mid pass. He's a winner. I don't think enough people give him enough credit that he just wins. And I listened to RG3, I think it was last Friday on WIP, and RG3 made a great point. Jalen Hurts is an RPO quarterback, and that's okay. RG3 was an RPO quarterback. He said it himself. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if that means Jalen Hurts is gonna throw a ton of little slant passes or little out routes or take the top off defense and nothing really in the middle of the field, then that's fine. We're winning games. Who cares? Who cares? And Saquon Barkley's there as like a safety blanket, and I don't think there's a better safety blanket. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I take the Eagles over a lot of the teams in the NFL, if not all of them. The Lions are so banged up. They have like 17 people on IR I saw today. Oh my God. And a lot of their stars. Like Alex Anzalone, Carlton Davis, Marcus Davenport, like a ton of people on that defense are on IR, and David Montgomery's out for the year. So you're telling me that you're gonna 100% trust the Lions right now? No, at least not for me. And then you have other teams in the NFC that are either banged up or haven't impressed me. Like I think that we're much better than the Commanders, and I think we're much better than the Rams. Even though people are like going crazy for the Rams, like I feel like I think it was Dan Orlovsky on ESPN. He was like, any team could beat the Rams when they're healthy, blah blah. Or sorry, any team can be beaten by the Rams when they're healthy, blah blah blah. And I'm sitting here thinking, we just we just did that. Any team they could beat anybody? No, I'm sorry, no. Because I just think we're that much better than everybody else, especially in the NFC. And you're telling me Sam Darnold's gonna beat the Philadelphia Eagles? No. If anything, the person in that Eagles Vikings game is gonna be all come down to Jalen Hurts and how he deals with the blitz. And again, I'm gonna deal with the future in about 5 minutes. But this is how I just think. Like I just think we're that much better than everybody else. And even on the AFC side, I think we're better than the Chiefs. And the Chiefs have gotten incredibly lucky with their dark magic bullshit. I don't even know what is happening in Kansas City. But Patrick Mahomes is out now, and they have Carson Wentz there. Hey, rooting for Carson Wentz and Andy Reid, but I mean, what? Um, we just beat the Ravens. I mean, yes, if Justin Tucker hit everything, they would have won. But at the same time, I think if we play the Ravens again, I think we beat them by even more because now we know what to do. And the Ravens are very fraudy to me. Like they have Lamar and Derrick Henry, yes, but you're telling me that you're going to rely on Zay Flowers again? We saw that we saw what happened last year. Let's just get that 100% real. And people are back on the Lamar Jackson MVP train after they beat the Giants. Guys, it's the Giants. It's like a bye week right now this year. I mean, yes, they're going to probably draft Shador Sanders next year. That's what I'm thinking they're going to do just to make Malik Neighbors and everybody happy. And they need a quarterback. Um, but it's the Giants. Nothing scares me about that. And their secondary is so bad. We didn't even throw it enough against the Ravens, which I think that the next time if we ever play the Ravens again, which would be the Super Bowl, we're just going to take the top off and just throw to our wide receivers the entire game. And then as soon as they, start letting off and putting the safeties back and moving everybody back, grab the ball with Saquon Barkley. I really think that we're that good. No one in the AFC really scares me except for the Bills. Bills Eagles would be such a crazy Super Bowl that I don't even know what the score would be. All I know is that regardless, there will be fights in the parking lot. There will be fights in New Orleans, and two craziest fan bases, period, squaring off in the biggest game of the year. So, I mean, that's one I really don't want to see because I think the Bills have the best chance of beating us in the Super Bowl from the AFC side. But you know what? We'll see. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of go through a few scenarios for the Eagles. Now, currently, we do have the second seed in the NFC, which obviously we all want the one seed because then everything goes through Philadelphia, right? But at the same time, I want us to think. Like the second seed, yes, you do have to play that extra game. And yes, injuries are a real thing and all that. But at the second time, at the in like another sense, I'm gonna read to you who we would probably play. So currently, Lions are the one seed, Eagles are the two seed, Vikings are the three seed, and then the Buccaneers. Yes, sorry, Lions one seed, Eagles two seed, Buccaneers three seed, and then Rams four seed. This is just by the current people that are winning, current teams that are winning, like their division. And then so the Eagles would then get the remaining last seed, like the lowest seed, and currently that is the Washington Commanders. And I mean we're currently going to play them this upcoming week, but at the same time I feel very confident about beating the Commanders, especially when they come back to Philly. I think we have a shot of losing this weekend. I'm going to try to post this before that game. There's a shot that we lose, just because, I mean, 10 in a row is amazing. But we do play the Commanders in the first round currently on December 17th, we play the Commanders. And then after that, once we would win, because I would think that we would win. After that, we would then play the higher seed of the winners from the wild card weekend, which I would guess would either be the Packers, because the Packers are probably going to play. Actually, you know what? It's either the Packers or it's going to be the Vikings. That's my prediction, and it's going to be, if everything stays at where it's at now. Like I think the Vikings need to lose two, and the Packers need to win out. I think that we're probably going to play either one of them, and it would be in Minnesota. But depending on that game, I feel confident about both teams. I think we would definitely beat. I would feel more concerned about the Packers personally. The Vikings are good, except we have a great defense and they have a great defense, and I just think that on offense, I think our offense is just much better than their offense. Sam Darnold has looked great, congratulations, but at the same time he's dealing with a pinky injury, and who knows, like finger injuries could be weird because they could last into longer than you would typically think. And then at the same time, I feel like that matchup between Quinion Mitchell / Darius Slay against Justin Jefferson would be a hell of a matchup. And along with Jordan Addison and all the weapons, Jeremy Hawkinson, and it's all good stuff. But the team I'm most concerned about in that second round in the divisional game would probably be the Packers, which is a very interesting scenario. Because we did play them week one, and that was at a neutral site in Brazil, and we beat them, but not by much. But at the same time, I mean, we all know teams change so much from week one to then the divisional playoffs, And the Packers had that really nice run last year where they actually took the 49ers like well, and 49ers ended up coming back. But they looked pretty good last year in the playoffs, so they've done it before. And Jordan Love is good. I'll give him that. And Josh Jacobs seems to be on a heater right now. He's crushing it. But at the same time, I do think that we would win again, but I think it'd be in a very similar fashion, that in the fact that like we would just have to run Saquon Barkley a lot, and we would probably have to score a lot of points because Jordan Love is that good. The thing about the Packers that really doesn't scare me is their wide receivers. Jaden Reed's good. I'll give him that. He's good. Romeo Doubs is good, and Tucker Kraft, he is good. Um, but they don't even compare to our wide receivers. I think our wide receivers are hands down way better than them. And I feel like every time the Eagles play Jair Alexander, AJ Brown pulls off a massive wide receivers like just like go route, and he crushes them. And that's happened in the last few matchups. And I feel like we've had the Packers number in the past few matchups as well. So that's definitely one that would concern me more than the others. And then I do think that we would win though, because it would be in South Philly in the link, and then the link in the playoffs is a different animal. We all know this. And then it would all come down to that next weekend, the championship game against the Lions. Who knows how healthy they will be? Maybe they'll get their guys back. I think a few of their guys are. I mean, obviously they're still on IR, but I think by then they might have a decent amount of them back. So it would be a hell of a game. I mean, ideally, ideally, you would want that number one seed, because I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not a secret anymore. Jared Goff can't play outside. It's not a secret anymore, at least compared to inside. So getting Jared Goff in the cold South Philly, the link with all the fans, I think that we would beat him. I think it'd be a hell of a game. I think it'd be really close. But I just trust us more in the link than I trust us in Ford Field, which is obvious. I mean, that's not a crazy statement, but I just feel way more confident playing the Lions at home than away, because I mean, in Detroit, that's a really tough game for anybody involved, because those fans are just starving for a championship, similar to how we were starving in 2017, except they have had literally nothing until the last few years, like literally nothing. Um, so I mean, at the same time, I am happy for the Lions. Like I'm kind of rooting for them. Like good for you, good for you. Um, but at the same time, I really like to beat them, because I do think that when they're healthy, they're the best team in the league. Um, but imagine we beat them and we go to New Orleans to play either the Chiefs, I would say the Bills, maybe the Ravens, I guess, and the Chargers. Those are the top four in my mind. I could be blanking out on the others, but those are the four in my head. Now, one team I definitely think is a sneaky team to beat us, like in the early rounds, because we all know. I mean, we all watched the Phillies this year. Anything can happen. Would be the Buccaneers. I don't want to play the Buccaneers. I know we're a different team than what we were in week 4, I think it was, when we were 2-2. But it's definitely a scary game. Don't want to play the Buccaneers, because I think Todd Bowles knows how to beat Jalen Hurts, and he beats Jalen Hurts. But at the same time, that was when we were throwing way more than we were running, and now it's a more balanced attack. So who knows? Like maybe to counter that blitz, we could do more inside runs, get them off balance, and then eventually set up the play action. Speaking of play action, I don't know why we don't run more of it, especially with having Saquon being as dominant as he is. Because you'll watch, and it's like a Saquon 10-yard run, Saquon 5-yard run, and then he drops back to pass with a motion across the line of scrimmage. And I don't really get why we don't do more play action. We have plenty of motion. Why don't we just counter that with, play action? Because then I mean, I'm saying this and I have no experience with any of this, but at the same time, in my head, if you run it, then they're all in on the run. Why not? And then send like a Devontae Smith crosser, which has worked in the past. So I don't get why Kellen Moore isn't doing more play action personally. But at the same time, again, I could say all this, and everybody could say everything negative that they could possibly want. I watched First Take yesterday, and I'm telling you, they talked about Eagles for maybe 5 minutes about the good stuff, and then immediately went to the negatives, and him and Sirianni going at the defensive line coach. He wasn't going at. But I feel like everyone always wants to focus on the negative. but we've won 10 in a row. So why are we focusing on the negative? You know what I mean? I mean, yes, I mean, listen, I'm all for keeping people accountable. Like that's one of the things that I think Philadelphia fans are so good at, keeping each player accountable. Um, but at the same time, you have to think about it. Like 10 wins is gonna be 10 wins. It's something that we've never done in this franchise before. So there's not a whole lot that I can honestly complain about. Um, Now, with that being said, I know I mentioned this before, but I do think that we can lose this weekend against the Commanders. It's a very weird um, trap game, if you will, because I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, we've probably played the hardest part of our schedule with that gauntlet of what was it, like Rams, Ravens, someone else, Steelers. I know I'm blanking out, but those like that's a gauntlet. All those first two away. I think that you know so this is a very easy trap game, and then we've already played the Commanders, and they played us pretty tough. I mean, we did end up winning that game by a decent amount, but at the same time, I mean, this Eagles team's great because we're either gonna lose by a little bit or we're gonna win by a lot. Because I know for a fact we do this every single year, but we're gonna make that field Lincoln Financial South. Like that's just what we do. That's just what we do. But I think that there's a very real scenario that we do lose to the Commanders, which again I'm fine with. Because think about it. I mean, yes, we'd be the third seed, but at the same time, the Lions play the Vikings, and the Lions are gonna beat the Vikings, and then we're right back at that second seed. So I'm not really that concerned about the seeding. We're either gonna be 1, 2, or 3. And who knows about the Lions? They keep getting hurt. And I think losing David Montgomery is going to do a little more to their offense than you think. Now, I do think Jahmyr Gibbs is it's a hot take, but way better than David Montgomery. But at the same time, I think that Sonic and Knuckles thing that they had is a big chemistry thing, and now that Knuckles is gone, might see a little bit of a different team. That's all I'm gonna say. But at the same time, if we just went out and like the Vikings beat the Lions, I'm pretty sure we have that number 1 seed. So you know what? We will see. The Eagles are the Eagles in the end of the day because we're all just gonna watch them regardless. Now that's where I'm gonna end it with this. I have nothing else to talk about. I don't think I talked about everything. Keep an eye out. We've started blogging. I've started blogging. I mean, everything's on all of our social media. So if you're interested in listening to or reading what we have to say, I did my first one about the Phillies off-season post-winter meetings. So if you want read that, go ahead and click on the link in my Instagram bio along with the Twitter bio and all that. Hopefully this will be clipped. So a little bit of this will be clipped into the TikTok. So if you're coming here from TikTok, what's up? And yeah, so make sure to check us out on all of our social media. I'm gonna try to get Caleb back for the Phillies off season stuff because I mean, why not talk about it? The Phillies are doing absolutely nothing, so why not talk about crazy delusional ideas, right? Why not? This is the time. So I'm gonna try to get Caleb and maybe some other people for some other stuff. Sixers suck, but that's okay. And I feel like this year's cursed, but let's just tank for flag. But thank you all so much for listening. I will see you in the next one. Hopefully, it's about the Phillies, and hopefully something good happens with the Phillies. All right, guys. I'll see you all later. Go Birds.